Hi everybody, I hope y'all are doing well. I hope y'all are having a great day today. So today I thought that we would jump right into it and talk about baselines. So what I mean by baseline is where are you living your life at the very baseline. So working in the mental health field, one of the things that we look for in clients and patients is what is their baseline. So with getting to know a client, you get to know kind of what is their usual. So that's what's their baseline. It's their usual and how they are being in that moment. Okay, so usually, for some of my clients that I have with serious mental illness, their baseline could be something even as far as wanting to hurt themselves every single day. So the baselines can be very different for different people. So somebody might be struggling with this baseline of literally living every day, kind of fighting these demons of whether or not to hurt themselves. So there are that kind of baseline. And I was very shocked from going from more of a mild kind of counseling to this serious mental illness to find out that there are people that live at these baselines. So when I first met some of these individuals, I immediately wanted to, take them to the hospital, get them all this kind of help, only to find out from people that had been treating them that this is actually the level at which they live. And so that is actually their usual. They're not really needing any interventions at that time other than their counseling and their medication and their regular regimen. But as far as medications and counseling, this is kind of like the best that it's going to get for that person. That's their baseline. So I was just kind of using that and kind of thinking about my situation and with abundance and with frugality and all that stuff we've been talking about in previous videos. What is my baseline? So one thing that's happened is I've had a shift not only just in my reality, but also in abundance and how I have a relationship with money. So prior to this, I was very frugal. So prior to my shift in frugality, abundance, or even the shift in reality I was a very frugal person. So, I saved my money, I earned it and saved it. So it was more of this energy of taking and keeping. So taking and keeping, that money was very tightly held there. And so I was also frugal with the money. So not only was it tightly held there, but whenever it would be released, it would be in a way that was very tight. There was a lot of negotiation, a lot of stress. When I would make these larger purchases and things like that, there would be this sort of anxiety that would arise, almost this sort of fear that would arise. So all of that was tied with money. And also all of that has now shifted to more abundance. And so with more abundance, it's more of just giving and receiving. So it's still the same amount of money that's actually, circulating as far as my job and employment and stuff like that. But when you're in the state of giving and receiving, your job is not your only source of income. You now have multiple sources of income that just come in from everywhere. And so money is very attracted to you. You're very attractive to money because you're not holding it and keeping it. Like I was saying, you're now releasing it. So now getting back to talking about our baselines, I was thinking about my baseline and how I kind of shifted from frugality to abundance. And so I did that consciously after I had a non-dual awakening. And I realized that essentially I was now free. My mind was free. I was seeing reality as it was. I was having, a direct experience with life, and I was life, and that was just happening. But I realized that there was still this sense of some sort of not feeling totally free and abundant as far as money went. So that's where I kind of focused my journey. Your journey may not look like that, but mine did kind of deviate into that a little bit after my awakening. And so I'm still kind of in that realm, although I'm now shifting a little bit more back into my non-dual state and just more of a state of being and receiving. But just in that state of receiving, you also have to give. So when you're giving and receiving, there's this flow, there's this movement, there's this change, and money turns into things. It turns into excitement. It turns into, tickets at the concert. It turns into a vacation somewhere. It turns into a beautiful dress you wear out on a date. So money wants to have this energy behind it. It wants to do these things. It's just like a person. It has its own desires and purposes. So when you keep and hold that money, it's not allowed to do all of these things. So it's not as attractive. So right now, because I'm in the state of giving and receiving, money is very attracted to me, so it's coming. And that's the kind of state that I want to maintain. Although, like I say, I'm going into also more of a state of being, and not so much, the other state that I was in of more doing. So you kind of oscillate in life through different things. And so that was my journey so far. But what I was coming to realize was that previous to my awakening, previous to this shift in abundance, I kept a baseline that was very low. So I realized that after I now have abundance, I'm doing more things like taking care of myself, purchasing more expensive vitamins, creams, things that I need to nourish my body, organic food, more natural foods, more natural fibers and clothing, more natural products, things that usually would cost a little bit more than the typical most mainstream item, I'm now able to purchase. So I'm purchasing those items, and in turn, those items are benefiting me, in my body. They're making me healthier. I'm having more energy. I'm more uplifted. I'm brighter. Everything is just coming together. So I realized that, maintaining a lower baseline for oneself of financial, stability or financial support for yourself isn't always the best thing, because you could be skimping and scraping money and really hurting yourself in the process by not purchasing those higher quality items that could actually nourish you and benefit you more. So that's one thing that I've kind of noticed. My baseline has completely shifted as well. I cannot ever really shift back into that other kind of baseline. And that is because now I require this higher quality, richer foods, organic foods. I require now all of these other products and things that are more naturally made, that may be a little bit more expensive, but have a lot more nourishing and healing properties to them that allow me to do the work and things that I need to do now. So in a previous video to this, I talked about how to set boundaries and how I was encountering, certain individuals that were carrying certain energies that were wanting to take from me and take energetically. And working in social work, working in mental health, even working in education, it can be very draining because you're working directly with individuals, and a lot of which are not very stable and have energies and situations that that can be very dangerous, just in general, without going into talking about really what's going on behind the scenes with these people. Just in life, they've learned to be more manipulative. They've learned to do and function different ways in life. And sometimes that doesn't really go well for me, right? So when you're being manipulated, that doesn't go well for anybody. Or, when someone's trying to, use certain tactics and things that they've used in the past that are very, low energy and just very draining for the person, it can really begin to take a toll on you. So that's what would happen to me, and it happens to many counselors, many people, that you get drained and you have to incorporate self-care into your routine. And so I wouldn't say now that this is just for mental health and, these professions like nursing and stuff. It is for everyone. Everyone deserves better quality food. Everyone should have, higher quality products that are not made with chemicals or poisons that are going to actually hurt you. So everybody's baseline really should be at this kind of divine level of having more natural earthly products, more natural earthly things, okay? And in turn, those things will nourish us and allow us to use the gifts and things that we have and we want to use in this world, whatever it is that you want to do in this world. So in order for me to be able to, do what I have to do at work, do what I have to do within my family, do what I have to do within, my extracurriculars, and do what I have to do for y'all, which is really my passion, I have to have the energy for that. And I have to have the nourishment and the rest for that. And so I also noticed that my baseline was very different as far as abundance went relating to rest and care. So I used to stay up late. I used to wake up early and go to work and not really get the whole 8 hours or so. And so now rest and all of that is very important to me, and waking up naturally with the sunlight, with the noises, is very much important to me, rather than just waking up, abruptly with an alarm, being like startled. That kind of energy does not allow for, growth and for this kind of nourishment that you want to maintain in your body throughout the day, so that you are able to show up for others. Because the gift of service to others is very important along this whole thing. Okay, so that will be another piece of this manifesting in abundance, is also service to others, and doing things for others is also a way that we give and take. So this is done all day long, that we're giving and taking with other individuals, whether or not you work in the helping professions. When you're out in the grocery store, when you're at the gym, at the store, anytime you're interacting with individuals, there's a give and take relationship. But anyhow, back to the baseline, as far as rest went, I wasn't allowing myself the right amount of rest. So it's very important to up your baseline. If you're used to kind of scrimping on time and always being in a rush and not allowing yourself time to rest, it's time to change that. Because once you start changing these things, you'll have more energy to actually do and accomplish the things that you want to do. In turn, you manifest what you want. It's all a package. It's all happening together, and all of these pieces fit together. So self-care will start to arise for you as you're manifesting. If you're not taking well enough care of yourself, that will begin to appear for you that you need to make some changes. And that's just part of the process. And the process is just as beautiful as the ending. So you want to stay and enjoy this process of self-care, okay? Because in turn, that's going to help manifest all these other things that are happening right in this moment. So that was time, and we talked about food. And so there's so many other things that, I wasn't allowing for myself. I wasn't allowing for myself to have, the nice dress or this nice item, or to, have someone else do my hair for me, or, I was more of the do-it-yourself person, wanting to do everything myself and save money. Learning is wonderful, and it feels great to do something for yourself. But at the same time, sometimes you need that energy that you would put into, like, let's say, putting in your own kitchen sink. You might need that energy to do your actual passion, which might be making these videos, which might be working, as a computer engineer, or, in NASA, or whatever it is that you're doing. You may need that energy, and you may have to pick and choose, and say, okay, I'm going to actually hire someone to do the kitchen sink so that I can have more energy and show up, with more energy, with more, more focus and everything like that for the thing that I actually want to do. Because maybe we're not, handyman, maybe that's not our passion. So sometimes we have to give that to someone else. And yes, that costs money to hire someone. And this is where you're going to up your baseline. Okay, so you're going to change your baseline to a space where you now do hire people. You have money to hire people. And, looking at my budget, I've always kind of had that money to do that, but I've never allowed myself. So mentally, I never moved up to the next baseline. Even if my income would increase, I wouldn't move myself up. And so that was kind of a self-worth thing. So it's something to also examine with your self-worth if you're not allowing yourself to have this space. So I also needed some time to cultivate and develop my femininity, because with femininity and all of that, it kind of gets pushed away when you're working, when you're, my previous job to what I was doing now, I was managing a counseling group of people. And so that was a lot of masculine energy of working and leading and teaching and all of these things. And while these videos that I'm making right now, if I'm in the teaching energy, that is the masculine energy, I also need that time to be feminine and relax. So sometimes I need to get away and, just relax, be in nature, maybe do a dance class, maybe listen to music, play with my animals, enjoy cooking. So you have to take a look at what's going on. If you're getting frustrated when you're cooking and you're always in a hurry, your femininity is not being nourished enough, because when you are, you're a little bit slower, you take your time, you enjoy it, you put music on. So those were things I had to kind of cultivate and work on actually for myself, but I knew that intuitively. So this wasn't something like I just consciously, I consciously decided it, but it was more coming from a state of my body telling me, hey, something doesn't feel right, or hey, we would really like to sing, or hey, this body wants to move, or hey, can you slow down? So the body was telling me that. So you want to definitely body scan your body. And from there, I made, yes, a conscious decision of saying, hey, let me sign up for a dance class. Let me do this. Let me try this. Because I knew that it was important to nourish myself. Because in turn, I was noticing that some of the changes that were naturally happening, like with food and self-care and all of that stuff, were allowing me way more energy and so much more productivity that it's totally worth it to take aside a couple hours each day to meditate. I used to never allow myself to meditate, although I tried, to meditate here and there. For one, I couldn't do it. I couldn't focus. Secondly, I was very impatient of a person. I was always wanting to move on to the next thing and just not able to sit still. But now I allow myself the time, okay? I tell myself I don't have anything else to do. I clear my calendar. I make sure that there's nothing else at that time, and I allow myself that time. And in that time, you won't believe the stuff that happens. I never could have imagined what happens. And I'm not meditating like any traditional way or anything like that. I'm just getting still and sitting in stillness. And in that stillness, everything happens. So it is beautiful to just take this time. You don't know what gifts are there. You might just clear your mind and relax. That might be all that happens. But that is nourishing you. Or you may have the insights of a lifetime, and it may catapult you into the next thing. So it is important. And also in meditation and just taking this time to yourself, it helps with manifestation, because in that time, everything's like kind of coming together, and it's almost like you can feel it, or I can feel it. In those moments of stillness is when everything's happening. When those shifts, when you're literally starting to shift into the other timelines. So you have to take this time for yourself. If you're stuck at work, if you're stuck in your mind, if you're stuck, in expectations from this person or that person, you're not in yourself. You're not within yourself. That part of you is not being nourished, and you're not able to shift. You're like stuck. So you're stuck in whatever is happening at that moment. So let's say it's work. You're stuck in this, like, basically this paradigm of just work. And you're not moving very much as a person, or growing, or shifting, or choosing anything different other than what's happening. There's nothing wrong with work, but that's something I hear a lot of times, is people aren't happy with where they work, or the work hours, or whatever. And so, that space doesn't allow for that. Sometimes you may have to make that very, tough decision and say, hey, this is taking away too many hours from my day. I'd rather, move to something that would allow me a little bit more flexibility or more time, so that I can nourish and grow and move more in the direction of my dreams, of my passions, of my desires, of whatever it might be that might be coming up for you. And if nothing is coming up for you, maybe you desire more alone time. Maybe you desire more time to just be, so it's all a thing of whatever is happening with you. It's a very intuitive thing that will kind of lead you along this path. But this video really is about talking about a baseline and noticing where you're at and what is okay for you and what you allow. And sometimes in relationships, you'll find people that, they're constantly getting in these abusive relationships, and you think to yourself, why do they continue to do this? Well, that's where their comfort is. That's their baseline. That's what they're used to. Maybe they grew up in a childhood like that, or maybe their first romantic experiences were like this. So this is their baseline. And so whatever happens in life, they might get a better partner or something like that, but they may not feel comfortable there because that's not their usual baseline. To break free of your timeline, or to quantum leap to another timeline, you have to you're going to be a completely different person. You have to shift. So if you're a person that is always just feeling comfortable in abusive relationships, whether you realize it or not, you can't ever do that again if you're going to shift a timeline. Like, if you're going to shift a timeline, you will never be in another abusive relationship. That would have been completely shifted. So it's certain things like that. It's going to be a big change. It's going to change you. Now, some things that you're manifesting, you know, a parking space, or, you know, someone to call you, or this or that. Some things are not going to shift you like completely as a person, but some things are like that. Like if you're a person that's constantly in abusive relationships, if you're a person that's constantly codependent or depending on someone else, you can't really move up to any other line, especially if you're dependent on others, until that's broken free. So that will shift, and that will happen. And for some people, that is just so scary that they can't move subconsciously. They're not able to. So this is where, if you are in that state, you may want to work on some inner work and things like that to kind of clear, you know, this baggage, this junk that's been put on you by society, by, you know, let's say your family, let's say, people that, you know, were trying to hurt you, predator type people. So, you know, all of these things, basically we're peeling away these layers to find the true self. And in the true self can be its like ultimate self, and it could, you know, develop, and will align its mind and heart together, and it will ultimately do what its truest self will do. So once it's cleared away from all the junk of society and all of this, and it's raised its baselines to these healthy levels where now the body, the mind, everything is being nourished, you can be your ultimate higher self, as they call it, you know. So all of this is going to happen. It could happen in an instant. If you claim it, you could just totally move through a wormhole and come out a different timeline. Literally, these are lines and things that are just intersecting. And you could go through the wormhole and come out another one. And how do you do that? You claim it, and you instantly shift your timelines, and not your timelines, your baselines up to the highest level. So if, you know, if you're eating junk food, if you're not working out, you're going to now start doing all that stuff instantly. And you'll just see that happen. If it's a lot of work, then it's not truly aligned with what you are. This is easy. This isn't hard. This just happens. And when it happens, yes, it's a complete change. And you may not want to work out that day, but you still do it. And that's who you are now. So these shifts just happen. And so you can literally shift yourself just by doing that, just by moving your baselines to the very highest level, you know. And not many people can do it because, you know, as soon as you start, you know, you want to be abundant, but then let's say you had this desire to buy this designer purse, and then you get there and then you don't want to buy it because it's too stressful now to buy it. It doesn't feel right. You're starting to feel like this upset stomach and all this stuff. Well, you're not ready. But if you just push through it and just claim it, you have it. It's already there. You can't go wrong. The abundance is there. Everything's already there. You just have to claim it. You just have to claim it. And then you move through a wormhole and there you are. You're already having that designer purse, and now that whole experience has now moved you to that new line because you literally took that huge risk. And it wasn't even a huge risk. You just thought it was a huge risk. Money is not real. Like, those numbers are completely created by humankind, by humans. You know, it's not only is it just an illusion in itself, okay? Not only is this reality an illusion just because it is, like that is what this is. On top of the illusion, all of the illusions that humans themselves have created, like money. Money is something that we needed, but like the cost, the number, the value of money, that's all just created, you know, within our own minds. What does 23 mean? What does 50 something mean? What does 500 mean? You know, it's just a value. You know, if we say that this little purse is, you know, worth $700. Okay, so this is worth $700. And for someone, this might, you know, be real stressful to purchase this for $700 if they're not in that abundance mindset. But what if I told you that this wasn't even worth $600? It's really only worth, I don't know, 20 cents, you know? So that's the thing. The value and the worth and all of that, that's all made up. It's not even real, you know? So even like what you make at work, you might be so stressed to leave your job because, oh, I make this amount of money at work, and if I leave this job, then I won't have that. Okay, well, that's all just made up. It doesn't matter. Do you have enough to live, to survive at the baselines that you've made for yourself? Have you set yourself baselines? Because if you've done that, if you've set yourself baselines that are high enough to require a certain amount of income, you're not ever going to go lower than that. Nobody goes lower than their baseline, okay? Only if you allow it. You are only ever receiving what you allow for yourself. So if your baseline is here, you're not going to get this junk. You're going to get your baseline. So you want to truly move your baseline to that level, you know. So that's going to be something that you do with the different actions and things that happen in your life. So any chance that you have to like upgrade yourself in a way, like let's say upgrade a plane ticket, upgrade, I don't know, seating at a concert, or upgrade your car, or, you know, anything that you have, like you go to the spa and maybe there's an upgraded package. Upgrade yourself. That will shift you to that next timeline, because the next person that you are in that timeline already is doing those things. They're always doing more. And they do that because it takes a lot more to nourish oneself in order to do everything that we do in this world, okay? We do need self-care. We do need good food. We do need vitamin D. We do need time to think, to have. Otherwise, we're stressed, anxious, having mental illnesses, all kinds of problems. You can see even within animals, like when they show those movies about like orca whales that are at the sea worlds and stuff like that, you know, when they're captured and now they're in captivity and they're, you know, working at SeaWorld, their dorsal fin begins to kind of bend and just be floppy, and, you know, they don't have energy and they're no longer mating and having, you know, relations and all that stuff. And the same thing happens to humans. When you don't nourish yourself, when you don't have a strong enough baseline with enough things that are nourishing and good for you, then you begin to suffer in your body. You begin to have pain. You begin to have illnesses. You manifest problems. You're not okay sexually. You know, there's many people that are not functioning sexually. You know, that's a huge sign that something is wrong. You know, you have, again, no energy. That's a big, big one. You feel anxious, you feel sad, depressed, overweight. You know, people that are overweight, that's a big sign that something is not right. You're being overweight, having a lot of fat and, you know, skin and stuff like that, that is a protection for yourself because you don't feel safe. So there's something there that's you don't feel safe about. So these are all things to look at, you know, and examine so that you can literally just place yourself there and claim it on whatever level you want to be on. But a lot of the things in your environment may be the culprits, or maybe what is causing you to be experiencing these things within your body that are unhealthy. So when you take that orca whale and you put him back into the ocean, he begins to realize what his true nature is and explore the oceans and meet other orcas and mate and have babies and experience the warmth of the sun and the coldness of the deep ocean. So all of these things will begin to happen. And same thing has happened for me. I was a person that I would rush through life, always in a hurry. Going to work, always trying to be the best, always trying to, you know, move up to the next thing. And, you know, it may still sound that way, but, you know, that was in the workforce. And I was doing all of that. And I was taking care of my daughter and doing like all of these micromanaging stuff about parenting. And I mean, I used to have this blog. It was crazy, the stuff that I would do. Of course, it was very fun, but, you know, it was just this perfectionist behind all of this. And with all of that, you begin to get very unhealthy. You begin to go to fast food places to get your food because you're always in a hurry. Eat unhealthy. You don't nourish yourself. You don't take like long, relaxing baths. There's no time in nature. You just literally come home from work, get a snack, you know, take your child to the extracurricular activities, come home, take a quick bath, you know, get takeout or something because you can't cook, And then before you know it, you're passed out on the couch asleep. So these things are unhealthy, and they're just not natural to the human. So after my shift, I started spending a lot of time in nature, and I would watch the birds and the bees and everything out there, and spending time in water and gardening, seeing organic things grow and nurtured and flourish in this earth. I would spend time with animals. I began to do more dancing and singing and painting. And I began to realize what I am. I am appearing as a human being, and I am a female. So I'm a feminine human being. And what is that? Okay, so what does that entail? So I began to explore that. What does that mean for me? And all of those things began to come out. And all of those things have always been there. Okay, but they just weren't being allowed to be seen. They weren't being nourished. They weren't given time. They were being kind of like suffocated and put away in a box. It's time to allow those things to get out, because then all of those things are needed. All of those things will begin to nourish your family, begin to nourish your husband, your wife, your children, all those people around you, your coworkers. Everyone will be better for you taking time. So when you begin to choose yourself, everyone chooses you. So I just watched that Little Mermaid movie that just came out, and so it's always this kind of hero's journey, right? So most of these Disney movies and just movies in general, they have this hero's journey theme to them. And so it starts off, she's very different than all the other mermaids, and, her father is concerned for her, and she's off, chasing things of humans and just daydreaming of another life and all the possibilities. Well, everybody is just waiting for her to come to meetings and get to work and all this and that. And they're like, where is Ariel? Well, she's off in her own world. But, at that same time, she gets into trouble. So, they send a crab out there to find her, and she's, oh, my dad's looking for me, so I gotta head back, in a hurry, and just having to meet these expectations of things, and just realizing that that's not what she wanted for herself. And, she did the thing of really just kind of going against her father, like many people do, and just going to the wrong place. And she fell into the sea witch's arms, and the sea witch presented her something, a little manipulation of switching her gift of her sound, her singing voice, to be on land, okay? And so she did that. She gave away her power to the sea witch, which is a person, a character on this earthly realm, that she gave her power to. That's one thing you want to never do, is give your power to anything outside of yourself. Your power is within you. So she gave her power to what was outside of her. And what was outside of her was that sea witch, who, of course, used that power for herself and hypnotized Ariel. And we were talking about hypnotism in this previous video, so go back and watch that, because that is a real thing that happens. And so all of that happened, but what broke the spell? What happened? She followed her true, self. She did some mistakes, but what broke everything? It was true love. And that's the thing about this. Everything is love. So regardless of whatever I say in these videos, or anything that you know, or anything that you hear anywhere, the highest teaching is true love. With true love, you can break any curse. Anything can happen with true love. True love is the highest. So with true love, she broke the curse. And what happened? When she got married, all her family, her father and all the mermaids came, and they watched her get married, and they wished her farewell when she went off. And what happened? She didn't think that they would show, but they all showed up for her when she showed up for herself. The thing is, many people don't think that they can do these great things, or, go against the grain, or go against the culture. They don't think it's possible for themselves subconsciously. So they don't think it's possible for you. So they feel like it could be a threat or a danger for you to do this, because you do it and you can't do it and you're hurt, and now they have to pick up the pieces. So that's where a lot of that is coming from. But regardless of that, we all have our own hero's journey. So follow your dreams. Go with it. Keep raising that baseline. Keep going where you feel like you need to go. Your heart will tell you. You know, even if you're in the lowest, deepest, darkest states, there is a little glimmer, there's a little bit of light that shines when you hear something, when you know something, and go that way. Every time you feel that feeling, go that way, go, 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 till you get closer to that light. And soon enough, you'll get close enough where you can see clearly, and you will see it all. And you will see that this whole time the power was within you. So don't ever give your power away. Nothing can take your power away. It's all here. But we've been conditioned so long to give our power away to everything else, thinking that everything else determines who we are. But that's not the way it works. It's the other way around. Okay? We need to know and believe in ourselves, and others will believe in us, and others will know that. So everything's just a reflection. We are a mirror. So that is what this is. So again, just kind of pulling it back to your baseline. You know, in order to manifest and to move and shift in these timelines, you have to be able to live and be comfortable living at the highest baselines. And usually those baselines are the best baselines, because you'll have the best foods, the best exercise, the best self-care, the best clothing, you know, the best support system, the best relationships. And that is a truly embodied person. So if you're following someone, or you're you know, seeking help from someone that is struggling in their own personal lives, that they aren't embodied in these ways, then that is an issue. What ultimately happens is you will become wholeness, and your baseline will be, you know, at the very highest. And at that level, you will be nourished, and most likely you'll be very close to the most natural forms of self, okay? Because we aren't these bodies. We aren't these characters. What I am truly at this moment, I'm appearing as a human, feminine human, but that's not truly who I am. But that is my form right now, and it is amazing, and I love it. And so I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to discover it, and I'm going to find out all the gifts that the feminine female has. So I invite you, and I encourage you and empower you to see it that way, and really get to know yourself. You know, get to know this character, that you're in, this body, this character with this personality, this preferences. What is this character like? What is he not like? What kind of jobs do they want to do? What kind of relationships do they want to have? It doesn't matter. Nothing's right or wrong. You choose anything you want. Choose it. That's who you are. You know, go into that, choose it, figure it out, and see who you are. We spend so much time doing things for our job, for our families, for all these other people, but it starts within. So let's focus a little bit more time. Allow yourself the luxury of a little bit more time to spend alone with yourself, examining those things. So I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are new here and you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. And I have my contact information in the description box for y'all if y'all want to get in contact for anything. Thank you so much for watching.